The pro-Moscow authorities said a missile attack killed 2 people and injured 10, while the exiled mayor said scores of invaders were killed. Reuters could not independently verify the reports of the attacks or deaths. Air defense systems destroyed 2 missiles, 4 reached their targets. Yevgeny Belitsky, the Moscow-appointed governor of the occupied part of the Zaporizhia region, said on the Telegram messaging app. He said a recreation center, where people were dining, was destroyed in the Ukrainian attack with HIMARS missiles. The exiled mayor, Ivan Fedorov, said on his Telegram channel that the attack hit a church that Russians had turned into a gathering place. Vladimir Rogov, another Moscow-installed official in the Russian-controlled part of Zaporizhia, said a big fire caused by the strike engulfed the recreation center. He posted a video of a structure in flames. HIMARS multiple rocket launchers have been among Ukraine's most effective weapons in the war, delivering precision fire on hundreds of targets, including Russian command posts. On Friday, the United States said it was sending more aid to Kyiv to strengthen its air defenses and defeat drones. An advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Oleksiy Arestovich, said Melitopol, a major industrial and transport center occupied by Russia since March, is key to the defense of the south. All logistics linking the Russian forces on the eastern part of the Kherson region and all the way to the Russian border near Mariupol is carried out through it, Arestovich said in a video interview on social media. If Melitopol falls, the entire defense line all the way to Kherson collapses. Ukrainian forces gain a direct route to Crimea. There was no immediate comment from the Ukrainian army about the attacks. Earlier in the day, the Central Command of the Ukraine's armed forces said it had been conducting strikes on Melitopol.
NASA's Orion due to splashdown after historic moon mission. NASA's Orion capsule is due to splash down in the Pacific Ocean after wrapping up a 3-week test flight that included a close pass at the Moon and a journey further into space than any previous habitable spacecraft. The capsule is expected to splash down at 17:39 Greenwich Mean Time on Sunday off the Mexican island of Guadalupe. So far, Orion's flight has gone very well, according to NASA. In late November, the capsule reached its farthest point in space, venturing 432,210 kilometers from Earth while midway through its 25-day mission. That is nearly 32,187 kilometers beyond the record distance set by the crew of Apollo 13 in 1970, which aborted its lunar landing and returned to Earth after a nearly catastrophic mechanical failure. On Monday, Orion sailed within 130 kilometers of the lunar surface, achieving the closest approach to the Moon for a spacecraft built to carry humans since Apollo 17 flew half a century ago. The first test of the capsule was carried out in 2014, but then the capsule stayed in Earth's orbit, so it came back into the atmosphere at a slower speed of about 32,187 kilometers per hour. Mike Serafin, Artemis's mission manager, said Orion's heat shield was a safety-critical piece of equipment. It is designed to protect the spacecraft and the passengers, the astronauts on board. So the heat shield needs to work, he said. NASA has dispatched a U.S. Navy ship, the USS Portland, as well as helicopters and inflatable boats, to recover the Orion capsule. We'll see how the heat soaks back into the crew module and how that affects the temperature inside, said Jim Jeffer, NASA's Orion Vehicle Integration Manager. If the mission succeeds, a crewed Artemis II flight around the Moon and back could come as early as 2024. NASA is expected to name the astronauts selected for this trip soon. Artemis III, scheduled for 2025, will see a spacecraft land for the first time on the south pole of the Moon, which features water in the form of ice. They did this during the Apollo missions, the last of which was in 1972. Artemis is scheduled to send a woman and a person of color to the moon for the first time. NASA's goal is to establish a lasting human presence on the moon through a base on its surface and a space station circling around it. Having people learn to live on the moon should help engineers develop technologies for a years-long trip to Mars, maybe in the late 2030s.
Ukraine War. Odessa and Melitopol under attack. Southern Ukraine has been hit by strikes from both sides in the war, with Russia launching drones at Odessa and Kyiv fighting back in Melitopol. The Ukrainian army said it shot down 10 drones on Saturday, but another 5 had hit energy facilities, leaving some 1.5 million people without power. Later on, the exiled Ukrainian mayor of Melitopol said a strike had been carried out on the Russian-held city. Images shared by a Russian-installed official there show a big fire. Russia's drone attack on the Ukrainian port city of Odessa saw Moscow fire Iranian-made drones at key infrastructure, Ukrainian officials said. The situation in the Odessa region is very difficult, President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his nightly video address. Unfortunately, the hits were critical, so it takes more than just time to restore electricity. It doesn't take hours, but a few days. Since October, Moscow has been targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure with large waves of missile and drone strikes. In Melitopol, pro-Moscow authorities said a missile attack had killed 2 people and injured 10, while Ivan Fedorov, the exiled mayor, said scores of invaders had been killed. Air defense systems destroyed 2 missiles, for reached their targets, Yevgeny Balitsky, the Moscow-appointed governor of the occupied part of the Zaporizhia region, said on the Telegram messaging app. He added that a recreation center where people were dining had been destroyed in the Ukrainian attack with HIMARS missiles. Occupied by Russia since March, Melitopol has been described as key to the defense of the south by Alexei Arestovich, an advisor to President Zelensky. All logistics linking the Russian forces on the eastern part of the Kherson region and all the way to the Russian border near Mariupol is carried out through it, Arestovich said in a video interview on social media. If Melitopol falls, the entire defense line all the way to Kherson collapses. Ukrainian forces gain a direct route to Crimea.
Lockerbie bombing suspect in U.S. custody. A Libyan man accused of making the bomb which destroyed Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie 34 years ago is in United States custody, Scottish authorities have said. The U.S. announced charges against Abu Aguila Masood 2 years ago, alleging that he played a key role in the bombing on the 21st of December 1988. The blast on board the Boeing 747 left 270 people dead. It is the deadliest terrorist incident to have taken place on British soil. All 259 passengers and crew on board the jumbo jet bound to New York from London died, while another 11 people were killed in Lockerbie when wreckage destroyed their homes. Last month it was reported that Masood had been kidnapped by a militia group in Libya, leading to speculation that he was going to be handed over to the American authorities to stand trial. In 2001, Abdelbasit al-Megrahi was convicted of bombing Pan Am 103 after standing trial at a specially convened Scottish court in the Netherlands. He was the only man to be convicted over the attack. Megrahi was jailed for life but was released on compassionate grounds by the Scottish government in 2009 after being diagnosed with cancer. He died in Libya in 2012. Megrahi, who always proclaimed his innocence, launched 2 appeals against his 27-year sentence. One was unsuccessful and the other was abandoned. A spokesperson for the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service said, "The families of those killed in the Lockerbie bombing have been told that the suspect Abu Aguila Muhammad Masad Khair al-Marimi is in U.S. custody." Scottish prosecutors and police, working with UK government and US colleagues, will continue to pursue this investigation, with the sole aim of bringing those who acted along with al-Megrahi to justice.